From this point onwards, we're going to start looking at some of the more complex aspects of MySQL. From the knowledge that you've already gained from this series, you should actually be able to create virtually every type of SQL statements that you actually would ever want to use. And the rest of the videos in this series are generally looking at better ways to do those same tasks. And we're going to begin by looking at variables. If you're approaching this from a programming standpoint, you're already probably familiar with variables, and we have the same concepts within MySQL. To create a variable within MySQL, we just type the letter @ and then the name of the variable, which is normally prepended with a V and then an underscore, and then the actual name of the variable. Then we say equals, and then we assign whatever value we want to that actual variable. We also need to use the word set, which I forgot there. We're then able to use this variable in place of any statically typed text. So if we wanted to select every member of staff who was a manager, we'd simply do this. And we would obviously need to call this the right name. And so we're able to identify anyone whose job title is manager. Previously, we would have set this actual value down here. But as with variables in programming languages, this enables us to actually be much more efficient with our code. We're not limited to how many times we might use a single variable, and especially in more complex circumstances, it's going to be much more efficient to just set the value of a variable once, rather than having to actually manage the entire statement and ensuring that you make every single change whenever you want to make a change to the query. So again, we could change this to cook, which will change the rest of the code to actually reflect that new job title. And of course this works with nested statements, with joins, with basically every other aspect of MySQL that we've already discussed. As I say, it's just a matter of making the code work for us rather than us having to work for the code whenever we want to maintain it. And just one final point on variables. Because this is a MySQL tutorial, we're obviously going to use the MySQL way of using variables. But variables are defined very differently depending on what database provider you're using. If you're using Oracle, for example, it's completely different. You have to first define the variable as being a variable, and then you set the value in a separate command. And different vendors do have different approaches to how they use them, so just be aware.